Putin deploys 11 nuclear bombers just 20 miles from the NATO border as Russia warns of an apocalyptic WW3. This is absolutely just on top of everything else going on, just stupendous. Vladimir Putin has deployed 11 bombers capable of carrying nuclear weapons just a few miles from the border with NATO. American satellite operator Planet Labs detected an increased presence of the Russian Tu-160 and Tu-95 strategic bombers less than 20 miles from the border with Norway. This and much, much more on today's show. What is going on? My name is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We'll be right back with this and all of the other breaking news happening now. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. What is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. If you're new here, remember, go to marfooglenews.com for our full bibliography. Over there, you can see that you can not only sign up for our notifications and our email list, but you can also get every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we show you here today. You'll look for today's thumbnail, new players on the field. This is getting wild. Of course, that is referencing Iran is actually secretly putting their soldiers on the front line, or according to media pieces, that's what they're saying. This and much, much more is down there. Every single article, tweet, video, picture, document is down here, including anything that is from the Foogle fam. If there is something shared with us, we share it with you. That way you have access to every single source and everything you see here on the show. Now, there's extra stuff. There's overflow. All the stuff that could not fit into a 2-hour time period is down below, so make sure to go check that out. On the right side, if you do miss an affiliate and you don't remember the code or the website, all of the boxes on the right are affiliate links, which essentially means when you purchase from them, you get some sort of discount and you give us a commission of your sale. So that helps us grow as an independent media. Let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
Also, remember to go to marfooglenews.com/friends and check out all of the creators that we vouch for or that are our personal friends. The moderators, which do a great service down in the chat, make sure to thank them. They keep it peaceful down there. They are enforcing the 2 basic rules: don't put anybody down, and of course, basically that, the 2 rules. I think that's like our president. 2 words: made in America. Yeah, something like that. Either way, we're going to get right into the news. Taiwan denies U.S. plans to destroy TSMC if China invades. National Security Bureau, or the NSB Director General Chen Ming-Tong, on Wednesday denied reports that plans are in the works to evacuate Taiwan's semiconductor manufacturing companies, engineers, and destroy its chip plants if China invades. So, now, Dex, they're saying that essentially they are saying they're denying that they would do this. But so say if they did invade, one of the biggest resources there is the chip plant. And so where did this come from that they're saying that they would destroy their chips? It would kind of make sense. Then they wouldn't Go ahead.
It comes from their customers. Their customers have requirements that say if someone was to take over, if something was to happen, you have to destroy our IP. So at a micro level, they probably do need to destroy certain things. Like there's technology, say for example, Apple has that is proprietary to them that they may not allow anyone that comes in and takes over that business to then have access to without their permission. So they probably have clauses like that say if we were to, be invaded or if we were to be sold and someone takes us over, we guarantee to destroy this stuff. So I think part of it is that, which is at a very specific level, but then there's also this higher level that a lot of people say that they should actually just destroy the whole plant should Xi actually invade the country for it. So I think that's sort of the kerfuffle is whether or not they would do the entire plant or if they're just going to take out their customers' IP information.
What is even crazier is it says Bloomberg on October 7th cited an unnamed U.S. official as saying that the White House here in the U.S. has an emergency contingency plan for the TSMC, which involves the evacuation of its engineers and destroying the facilities to prevent them from falling into the hands of Xi's forces in a worst-case scenario. So if they do take over, he was stating that this is one of their plans. And it seems like it would make sense. All of that classified information or customer information, if it falls over and it just gets put right into their hands, they would have an extreme amount of power. On top of what they already have done, obviously Xi and his country are spying on pretty much everything just as much as the U.S. is. Again, everybody talks about how they have spied on this and this and that. I mean, we're in the U.S., so it's kind of the pot calling the kettle black with all of the Edward Snowden stuff that came out and NSA and CIA and everybody else that's listening to the world. Go ahead, Dex.
Well, I was thinking this also might just be a message they're putting out to the population there. And let's keep in mind, the TSMC employs a lot of people. So maybe they don't want all these people to think that if this goes down, like there's a target on TSMC. And if you work here, one day your building could be destroyed. Because it may not be exactly like that. And then part of it, the way these chips are made, a lot of it are manufactured or designed outside of Taiwan, and the information needed to produce it is sent in, and it's only that information that's needed. It's not enough to reverse engineer or the actual design or things like that. So there's a lot of ways that IP can be protected. In some cases it is, some cases it's not. So I think this could just be that sort of statement. Now, would it be a target if, let's say, Xi did roll in and there was a current conflict going on between us and Xi, and it looked like we were losing? I would think it would be, because you wouldn't necessarily want them to have that asset. So, and I just don't know that it would be inside.
The NSB director added, even if the other side, Xi, owns TSMC, this golden hen will not be able to lay a golden egg, saying even if they get to it, they won't be able to produce the chips, at least not the way that not the way they are now. And then Beijing backpedaling on planned President Xi and Xi meeting at the G20. They say backpedaling, but it looks like canceling. Chinese government officials are stonewalling U.S. efforts to solidify a long-planned face-to-face meeting between President JB and, of course, Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the G20 meeting in Bali next month. Beijing won't engage with U.S. officials trying to draft an agenda for the meeting, according to a person familiar with the planning, a move that could prevent it from happening at all. The much-anticipated meeting has been seen as an opportunity for President Xi and Xi leveraging a personal relationship. Yes, leveraging a personal relationship. Just take that and put it somewhere. Forged during President Xi's tenure as vice pres, because he was doing a whole lot of just amazing things. It's a family business. To drain some rancor from a U.S.-Xi relationship that has descended into a bitter bilateral acrimony over Taiwan, trade, and human rights. I would be lying if I said that most people do not suspect that President B has some sort of ties, and that's why there's so much conflicting information out there that people don't believe that we could go to conflict. A lot of people think, well, how could we go to conflict if secretly, the Prez is actually, shaking hands and kissing babies over there? It seems to me like every time they are some sort of face-to-face, they won't do it, and I wonder if that's for other reasons. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe they don't want body language experts looking into how they react to each other or something. I don't know. But once again, it's giving the idea that they are so cut off and not talking to us, and they're not answering our calls, or not even trying to meet face-to-face, that things are going pretty badly. All of the conflicting information that is out on the internet, including an alternative, is basically making to the point where people can't believe anything. And even if they do believe something, 10 other people around them don't believe it, so then they doubt themselves. Most people are doubting what they even think as far as their actual theory of what's going on right now, because there's so many other people saying, no, that's not what it is. Besides like the whole two-party split and I think this and you think the opposite, there's many other kind of avenues splitting, and it's like a Y road, only it's splitting 40 different ways. Everyone thinks something different. That's why over the last 2 or 3 years, since all of this kind of division really just kicked into high gear, I see more and more people that are not just disagreeing with me, that disagreeing is fine, but they're just vitriol about it. And everybody's noticed this. Most people that are here want to be here, and they want to hear our opinions. And again, we're not always right. We're regular people like you. But we do have access to a lot more regular people, and all of these regular people are telling us information, so we can at least, I think we have a better opportunity to judge from what is going on. So with all of these military members and all of these people from all over the world telling us what they think, it seems like there's a majority that believe that that we are obviously heading towards a really, really bad event here. Whether somebody is on the payroll, whether they're high-fiving in the background, I think that they'll all be safe. All of these people at the very high tier, just imagine this. If they say, well, they wouldn't do that because then all of the United States would be destroyed, or all of this would be destroyed. Would you care if you had a house on the top of a mountain in New Zealand and your whole family and all of your friends were there too? Or if you were in a ghost city after everything goes down and it looks just like home? You're from France, and you destroyed France, but hey, you've got a backup France. I don't know. I know that's a little tinfoil hatty, but so is the ghost cities of China. They have literally made all sorts of cities and replicas of them. Why? Not just U.S. cities like some sort of tourist attraction. These are actual cities that look like cities around the world. At the same time, they're setting up police stations all around the globe in 30 countries, which just happens to be the same amount of NATO countries. It's almost like they're setting up to, put resources and put people in every country to, maybe listen or watch or surveil. I don't know. Just a question. Just a question. And then we have U.S. refiners are preparing for a potential fuel export ban. Before I get to this, I do want to say thank you to everybody that has popped in so far. I know we had some issues. Yesterday, Restream was down, so we did not go to DLive. Dex, can we just check up on, are we on DLive and Rumble? Is everything running properly? Do we have everybody?
Yes, we do. Everybody's up and running. Everybody looks good.
Okay, perfect. I'm glad. And speaking of which, thank you everybody that has popped in over on DLive, of course. Thank you. Nextit says they have the plan and we are in the way. The argument is who are they, right? Anytime we ever say they, speaking of the people above us, they're like, well, who is they? We don't know. I don't think anybody really knows. I think they're the people that own all of media and the richest people on planet Earth that aren't on the number 1 through 10 list on Forbes. The people that are so rich that their finances are not public. Steel Hauling DC, thank you. Before the show even started, I did see that, and I do appreciate your support. Thank you for the 99-cent super chat. Thank you. And then Nana of Montana, thank you for last night's stop by. Again, thank you for the massive support, along with East Tennessee Preparedness. Lady Green Eyes, thank you so much. And then, of course, Cordio and Franklin, Crazy L, and Mir504. Thank you, everybody. Genius by Birth, I hope you're doing well, and Crypto Rick as well. U.S. refiners are preparing for a potential fuel export ban. Dex, do you want to go over what this actually means? And by the way, I don't know if you guys have already noticed, but gas prices here have already gone up. I think we paid $5.75 last night at the pump. This was up from like $4.80 or something. It went below $5 for like, I think, 45 minutes. I don't know. It seemed like it was 45 minutes. It might have been a day. But now, of course, all sorts of gas and fuel and energy, everything is going up. Dex?
Certainly, apparently the White House has requested that the Department of Energy assess the potential impact of banning fuel exports. And so by doing that, instead of selling off anything that we have, you're keeping it here. Obviously, something they're looking at doing, they being the administration, to help keep prices down. As we know, OPEC went against our requests and decided to make less. As we heard from some of the companies overseas, like Aramco, they say their stockpiles are getting low. So they're setting up all of this outside of the U.S. to say, hey, gas prices are going to go up. We're going to make them go up, whether it's we keep our supplies low, we don't produce more, and we also raise the price in general. So that is not a good thing, at least for us in our own personal vehicles. When we have to fill them up with gas, it costs us more, and we don't like that. So it looks like the administration is scrambling now. We've seen him release barrels out of our own strategic reserve, which is getting lower and lower. And now it looks like he's preparing to, or potentially maybe looking into doing a ban. And that would require all the companies that are refining oil here, whether it be gasoline or diesel or other petroleum products, to be not allowed to sell it outside of the U.S.
And there's a couple quotes here. It says, "We don't have a place to put excess fuel in the U.S., adding, we would have to slow refinery runs to make less diesel and gasoline." It says DOE is in discussions with the refineries about the impact a fuel export ban might have on the country's energy markets. Well, those from the refining sector widely believe that if a ban was introduced, it would not lower prices, but it may be detrimental to the sector as it would cut off foreign partners, such as those in Latin America that continue to rely on U.S. fuel, which could have kind of a domino effect and knock over other things. Mike Summers, president of the American Petroleum Institute, stated banning or limiting the export of refined products would likely decrease inventory levels, reduce domestic refining capacity, and put upward pressure on consumer fuel prices, and alienate U.S. allies during a time of war. So it very well could have kind of a backfire effect, and it's not going to be nothing is perfect right now. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And then this is yet another thing, and I know you guys don't like hearing about Elon, or at least some of you. Some may actually worship and say he's the savior. More and more that has come out ever since the freedom of reach thing leaked about that private call on Twitter, saying that, I believe in freedom of speech, I just don't believe in freedom of reach. As a creator that has, obviously I've seen behind the scenes of how certain people get, held back, and certain people get pushed forward. That's kind of just, it's personal, I guess. But as far as that goes, also saying that WeChat is an admirable app that basically tracks and controls the social credit score over in Xi's country. It says that Elon Musk electric car maker Tesla has granted tax exemptions from China just days after the tech mogul was praised by Beijing for saying that Taiwan should become a special administrative zone ruled by Xi's country. Dex, he's siding with Xi here.
He's certainly upsetting a lot of people. He put out his position on the UKR front, and everybody didn't like it. He put out his position on Taiwan, and it doesn't seem like people, at least on this side of the aisle, or this side of the ocean, I should say, like it, or on this side of the allies like it. And obviously, Xi's country loved it. And in exchange, they added his vehicles to the vehicles that are tax exempt there, and you can purchase them with tax exemption. So that is a huge win for him financially. It's kind of coincidental, maybe, or maybe it's not coincidental that it happens just a few days after he makes those types of statements.
I just wonder, if anything changed hands, or if we ever had some sort of event where all of a sudden our lights went off, all the power went off, all the cars stopped, and then our local sheriffs start handing out red bracelets and saying, you're going to need this to move around the country and to get food rations and water. I wonder if he will have a bunch of red bracelets to hand out. Dex?
Well, and maybe now's a good time. There's a link in Screener from Elon's Twitter. It's a Twitter link. And someone had called out, and this goes sort of back to the other topic I mentioned with him about he made a post about UKR. And people didn't like it, like his suggestions about how he thought the conflict should be resolved. So apparently there's this list put out by some UKR group, and some white check mark put the post up and said, hey, Elon, looks like you've been added to their, list. And he responded. He's like, really, is this a real list? And is anybody doing anything about it, or something to that effect? You have to see his responses. I can't remember them word for word.
Musk added to UKR's Myro Trivets bang bang list, or take them out list. I've been speaking and writing about this list for years after being placed on it in 2019, but now that Musk is on it after Roger Walters and others, perhaps the peacemaker list might itself be perished. So,
yeah. So he replied right below that. And I think this came to us again from No One Here Yet. So thanks for watching Twitter. But there should be a tweet from Elon right there.
Is this list real? What's the URL? Huh. So and this is kind of a website, right? So if they say, is he asking because he's gonna get somebody to remove this list or something? Or somehow...
Yeah, I've since seen that someone else had posted that the website was in the U.S., or at least behind Cloudflare in the U.S. I don't know if they really know where it is after that, because the Cloudflare node that it's on is in the U.S. That doesn't necessarily mean the server is.
No One Here Yet, by the way. Thank you, and you've been doing a really great job of finding really good stuff. Good job. Thank you. Just the other day, you had a great piece. You had a couple, actually. The last one was that jet, but the one before that was even better. What was that first one, that No One Here Yet? We ended up putting it on the show. It was something. It was he tweeted us something, and we ended up using that. But either way, No One Here Yet. Thank you. And if you guys are, this is, I always used to call this the viewer powered news network, because a lot of you are sending us what to cover. So thank you guys. I appreciate that.
I think he sent us the 170.
Yeah, that's right.
Artillery shells in the buffer zone.
Yep. During the show.
Right when it happened, during the show.
It was breaking that second. So yeah, good job. No One Here Yet. My recommendation would be to figure out a special administrative zone for Taiwan that is reasonably palatable. He's doing this with UKR too. He's I don't know. He's trying to be the peacemaker or whatever, but it seems like it might be a tiny bit biased. He has congratulated Xi and done all of these things, and I understand some are like saying, well, that's his second largest car market. And Elon, if you're watching, but if anybody's watching, I like my life. I'm not at all sad or anything. Would never ever, put myself on a list like that, if you know what I mean. But as far as, I used to like really kind of admire the guy. I hope, Elon, if you're watching, that you are a good guy. But everything you're doing spells the exact opposite. Why? Everybody thinks, oh, he'll save free speech, but then they'll get freedom of reach. So, he's saying that he wants to do an everything app, and then he says he admires WeChat. WeChat is an everything app. You do everything on it. He said specifically that app is great. You can purchase things. You can do everything on it. Well, it's also connected to their equivalent of a social security number. It's connected to their biometrics. It's connected to everything. And without it, you can't do anything in that country. I could see why somebody would want to own that, especially with now. Look at what is happening with the payment processing, the banks. If you say something that they don't agree with, to be able to say go somewhere else, but then everywhere else is owned by the same family, so they say no either. I mean, you're turning people into modern day lepers. And then before we move on, I want to remind you, there's a reason for all of our affiliates. Any one of our affiliates is because we believe that these will either help people either live through a disaster, survive through a disaster, or get through it comfortably. This one, most importantly, if you have not seen these, this is an energy solar generator. It's one of the best out there. It's one of the most coveted, and it is one of the most modular. This thing is really awesome because you can get it if you just want the head unit and a battery to take with you and throw in your truck or to bug out with. You can do that. If you want this to be more of a permanent solution or a more home-based one, you can expand it up to 96 batteries. They're like Legos, so they actually stack on top of each other with the input and the output on the bottom and the top, which basically means there's no external cords, which all of the competitors have these foot-long cords that end up doubling the footprint of the device. So it's very compact, it's easy to carry, easy to use, and it can be expanded up to 96 batteries. On top of that, there are units. There's all these different mods that you can basically pimp this thing out with. You can put a supercharger mod that allows, instead of 4 panels, you can actually plug in 12 panels. And it's smart enough to accept that extra power and triple charge it. It's basically cuts your charging time in a third. This is an amazing system. It is very well paired with a folding panel. They have folding panels there, but you can go with your own panels. If you already have some, you just need the adapter. That's what's really cool about this. If you want to go for the best head unit and everything else, then you could go with this. And if you want to shop around and say save some money on panels, you could do that as well. But the big part is lithium is going to be something that is going to go up. I can almost guarantee it because now lithium is in high demand and in low supply, and countries are fighting over it. This is also silent, which means it is no noise. That means no one will hear this running 3 blocks away in an SHTF situation. But it doesn't have to be an SHTF. If anyone has gone without power, then they know we are pretty much dependent on it. If you need to, charge your devices or run a drill or even plug in a fridge or something like that, then you're going to need a really good unit. So make sure to go to marfooglenewscom/energy, and you can get upwards of $170 off on certain packages. If you're an RVer or if you're a van lifer, make sure to check out their new unit that is now competing with the rest of the market, the all built-in-one Kodiak X2. This thing is, it actually has kind of record-breaking battery capacities, charging capacities, 6,000 charge cycles, basically every day for 16 years. You could go from 100 to 0, and it will still have 80% battery left after 16 years of using it every day. That's huge, especially when you get into lithium products. And then they also have the LT. Highly recommend that for somebody who just wants something for a storm. That's a smaller unit. I am still waiting for mine. There is a waiting list for these because of the lithium that is inside. I had to wait just like everybody else. I got mine. My whole show is run by a Flex 1500 and 2 batteries. I actually ran it for a month with just one. But again, I had to wait, for the second, I had to wait a long time as well. So the waiting list is not as long. When I first got this, there was a 6-month waiting list. Now that list is much shorter. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY. You're supporting our channel and you're getting a discount on something that is in one of the most useful things in a prepper's arsenal. All right, and then Dex, let's have you talk about the UN. The world needs an early warning system for climate change-related disaster.
So this is kind of strange. This is what they're saying is they're saying they need to have one system for the entire world that everyone uses whenever there is a weather event, and of course they're putting it under the change, right? But think about, when a hurricane is coming or fires are breaking out or some other type of thing is happening, they want to have one system that does this notifications and this early warning system that pushes out, and they want everyone to adopt it. It sounds kind of, and of course they're positioning it as, oh, there's plenty of countries out there that don't have anything, right? So they need something. So we need to build one for the whole world, and then everyone should just adopt it and use it. I kind of cringe when I think about anything that is, supposed to be the whole world and everyone needs to just join in on it and adopt it. We've seen how great that works with other stuff, and that's a lot of sarcasm. So anyway, it's just one of those things we got to pay attention to, because what's really going on here.
Okay, do you see what else this could be used for? And I'm sorry, but this goes back to my longtime theory, and people think I'm absolutely nuts. The more you look into all of these asteroid missions and things, and there's a point to this, is why I'm bringing up asteroids, is like OSIRIS-REx and Hayabusa and the Bennu, Bennu mission, OSIRIS-REx, is now actually going to be OSIRIS-APEX. And OSIRIS-APEX is actually the same, the same craft. And after going to Bennu and taking a sample, now it is going to do a $200 million extension, and it is actually going to fly, and it is going to basically catch up with Apophis. Apophis is one that everybody has probably heard about. That is the one that originally, when they found Apophis, they said, oh, this has a 1 in 37 chance of hitting. Those are the greatest odds we have ever seen. If you're playing the lotto, if you ever played a scratch ticket, that's really, really good odds. That's basically saying this thing's, at one point they said this is most likely going to hit. And then they ended up tracking it a little bit later, and they said they got a better grasp of if it was going to hit or not. And in 2029, they say that it's going to go very close to Earth. In fact, it's going to go so close, it's going to be underneath the satellites, the geostationary satellites that we see up there. So you will be able to see this with your naked eye in 2029. It also makes a pass by in 2036. At 2029, all of these countries, which is something I didn't actually know about, all sorts of countries are going to use this, and they say, oh, it's an opportunity because this is the biggest asteroids that has come this close, are all having these space missions go up to it. What does this have to do with this? Well, as far as all of the weird missions, sending stuff to the moon, why we all of a sudden have a space force, why we're doing these DART tests and things like this and knocking asteroids off path, and why are we putting seeds in vaults? Why are they making these humanoid robots and trying to get them to where they can do human tasks and all these crazy things that have just happened in the last few years that has just been catapulted, and trying to go to space, go to Mars, bury our seeds, all sorts of weird stuff. And you've got this event, a don't look up type event that could be possible. Well, what would you do if you had to? What would you do if you had to tell the whole world something was about to happen? Well, you could say, under a guise of something else, you could potentially make a system like this that would alert the entire planet of something. Just my thoughts, and I know most people are like that. It's more logical that it's I get you. I'm just telling you my opinion. There's little things, like I've said. There's if out in space they found this all of these objects were being pulled towards something, and it's kind of an argument for this Planet 9 or Planet X or whatever, and they're saying they see all of these objects being pulled into something, but they can't see the actual object that's pulling things in. And it's like they know something is there, but they can't see it. But what they can see is all these things getting pulled in. What I see in the bigger picture is all of these things must make a logical bigger picture. Look at everything that has happened. all of the different changes that we're dramatically going through in just the last few years, and they're saying it's because of this. And look at how many people debate that. Look at how many people are against it. I think if there's half a planet against something or saying that you might want to ask some questions, then usually almost every time in the past, that means there was some truth to the questioning of the truth. So I just wonder. I wonder if this is some sort of world emergency system, like an EAS for the entire planet. And then, DHS, they're coming up with new mass fatality tracking systems and things. It's like, and then coming up with systems, broadband communication that doesn't require cell phones. It's like, we're thinking EMP. What if it's not? What if they're saying, the whole thing's going to go down because something hits us? Just a thought. And again, it's in the back of my head. With Apophis especially, why'd they rename it Apophis? Why would all these weird things with Apophis? And then later, those numbers that they did later, could those have been altered? Could those have been made to not scare everybody? And why do we have the deadline, before 2029 to do all sorts of things? And by the 2030, they say that we're going to have catastrophic flooding from moon wobbling and everything else. What if it doesn't hit us and it hits the moon or something? I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you think, and by the way, if they found an asteroid that was going to hit Earth, say it wasn't Apophis, say it was any asteroid, do you think that they would tell us? Maybe last minute. And then the UN said nuclear war is back within the realm of possibility. Here are the places in the U.S. most likely to be hit in a nuclear attack. Dex, hopefully I'm not in one of those places. Unfortunately, I think I am.
Yeah, to jump to the gun and get right to it. The capability, Vlad State TV said the Pentagon, Camp David, Jim Creek Naval Radio Station in Washington, Fort Ritchie in Maryland, and McClellan Air Force Base in California would be the targets, according to Reuters.
So we have a basic idea of where would the targets be, and unfortunately, at least one of them, is right here in Washington. California looks like the Pentagon, Camp David, all of these different places. It says, but the latter two have been closed for over 2 decades, making them strange choices for targets. So do you think it's just BS? Do you think that this is the media putting this out and they don't actually know anything and they're just Googling things that probably still show up but aren't even there? I don't know.
Or something really going on there and we just call it closed so nobody pays attention.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, I'm sure their equivalent of spies would have more, their intelligence community would have more intel than the common person here would have, right?
Dex, not that I'm scared or anything, but where's Jim Creek Naval Radio Station? Is that close? Is that close? That's not close, is it? Is it close? It's in Washington? This Washington or the other Washington? Not scared. Just asking for a friend. Just gotta wake up every day and be thankful that we're alive. And then Musk says SpaceX cannot fund UKR's Starlink internet indefinitely. Elon Musk said on Friday, SpaceX cannot indefinitely fund the Starlink internet service in UKR and send it several thousands of more terminals after a report suggested that his rocket company had asked the Pentagon to pay for the donations, which actually makes sense. They're sending all these billions of dollars, but they're not paying Musk for this service that is essentially helping the military, which we're funding. That actually doesn't make too much sense. It says Musk comment on the question of the support of the internet. Well, actually, it says a lot, too. They're not paying Musk for this, even though they're paying for everything else. It says, for the internet service in UKR comes after he angered many UKR people with a proposal to end Vlad's conflict in their country that included ceding some territory, saying, hey, just give him a little bit. SpaceX is not asking to recoup past expenses, but also cannot fund the existing system indefinitely and send several thousand more terminals that have data usage up to 100 times greater than typical households. It says this is unreasonable, Musk said on Twitter. The billionaire boss of Tesla said Starlink was spending nearly $20 million a month, and he called it a burn for maintaining satellite services in UKR. He recently said that SpaceX had spent $80 million to enable to support Starlink in UKR, sending them the units, sending them the receivers, and sending them everything else. Wow. But do you think, because he's government contracted everywhere else, is this a way for, wait a second, is this, watch, they end up saying, oh, yeah, we'll pay you for that. Is this a way that they could get this in there and everybody now publicly supports and go, well, he's doing a good deed. The government should pay. And then everybody will be calling for them to start paying him money for this. And then all of a sudden you've got the government funding the satellite stuff that is actually helping them hit the other guys.
Well, is it that, or has he just taken a turn? Like, has he sort of turned from, let's help everybody on the West, to all of a sudden, I'm in bed with Xi, I want to be in bed with Vlad, I think you should take some territory over there, and oh, by the way, the service I've been paying for, you better cough up some money, I'm not doing it anymore. Like, did he just flip around, or is he just, miffed that there's an investigation now going on, which we mentioned last night. There's a federal investigation against him over the Twitter deal. So is he saying, hey, if you're going to come after me, I'm going to make you pay up. I got to pay all these legal bills for your investigation. So now I'm going to, ask you to cough up some money for all the stuff I've been giving you. I don't know. There's a lot of different angles on this one.
And it does seem to be important as far as the world goes. We'll follow it and we'll see what happens. I bet you somehow, or watch the investigation drops. They're like, oh, yeah, we're good. No wrongdoing here. Redeemed says, haven't been able to catch the live shows lately. Glad to be here tonight. Thanks to you and Dex for all you do. Well, thank you, and we appreciate that. Redeemed, thank you for the massive support of our channel. Again, thank you for supporting independent media. Bible Talk 777 says, NASA is lying. Apophis will hit. That's why all the distractions and rich buying bunkers. Thank you, Bible Talk. I'm still open-minded about everything, but the back of my head just keeps screaming at me that something's wrong here. Everybody get your chitin pants ready. Bible Talk. Thank you. And then next hit. Again, thank you, and thank you. Over on DLive, lots of great people have just popped in. Thank you so much. Jem, thank you for being here. Thank you for modding. Of course, Chance, thank you for modding. If you guys haven't checked out Chance Paladin's book on Amazon, the link is on the Friends page. Lady Mel, Kimbria, Scooby-Doo, right? Michelle K, thank you. And then, of course, Vicky K. Again, thank you for being here pretty much every night. Sorry about last night. Unfortunately, Restream would not let us stream over there. And then Texas Rob, thank you for celebrating an anniversary. Looks like a long one, too. Thank you. I can't see how many months, but it looks like it's over a year. All right, and France says Iranian drone transfers to Russia would violate the UN nuclear deal resolution. France has been in the news a whole lot lately because there's all sorts of stuff going on, which we'll go into in just a moment. France's foreign ministry said on Thursday that any transfer of Iranian drones to Russia would be a violation of the United Nations Security Council resolution that endorsed the 2015 nuclear accord between Iran and world powers. 3 drones operated by Vlad forces attacked the small town of Makariv, west of UKR's capital, early on Thursday, with officials saying that the critical infrastructure facilities were struck by what they said were Iran-made suicide drones. It says, we note that a great deal of information that reports of the use of these drones from the I country by Vlad's armed forces in UKR in bombardments that were aimed at civilians and which will likely constitute war crimes. It says that Foreign Ministry spokesperson Anne Claire Legend said in a daily online briefing. It says, quote, such a supply of I country drones to Vlad would also violate United Nations Security Council Resolution 2231. Do we know what would actually happen if that was violated? Because we obviously know now there's other information coming out about people on the front line.
Well, I think they would just have another meeting, right? That's what the UN likes to do.
Yeah, I wonder. So there is a piece that goes with this too, and it seems like there might be some stuff going on with the Middle E countries actually joining this fight. Resolution 2231 endorsed the 2015 nuclear deal between I country, ran to the store, and 6 powers, Britain, China, France, Germany, Russia, and the United States, that limited Tehran's uranium enrichment activity, making it harder for the I country to develop nuclear arms while lifting international sanctions. So there's more. By the way, go down to the bottom. Make sure to go to marfooglenews.com. Read the rest of this article. It's important, but we're going to keep on a pretty quick schedule tonight. Speaking of which, if you haven't already, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/prep. There is long-term survival food through My Patriot Supply. These are, of course, MREs in Mylar bags, packaged in all different sorts of groupings. You can get anywhere from a 72-hour kit all the way up to a 3-month kit and even more. Over there, and right now there is 20% off on the 3-month kits. So check out the current sales that are going on. You can go to this landing page, marfooglenews.com/prep, and when you do, not only are you stocking up on essentials and food that you can possibly use later, or if just inflation gets bad, the value of course, long-term survival food has tripled in the last 3 years. If you can think about that, if you would have bought this 3 years ago, it would have been worth about 3 times as much, and it would still have 22 years of shelf life left, possibly more. They also have iodide tablets. They have the Alexa Pure Pro, which is now quickly becoming the go-to for a lot of people that used to think that Berkey was the only one out there. It is a fraction of the cost of a Berkey filter, and it does 99.999999% of all of the nasty contaminants. So basically get a really, really great system for, again, a fraction of the cost. Do you need that name? Probably not. Again, marfooglenews.com/prep. And then, of course, also check out all of their packages. When you do this, you're supporting our independent news channel, and you are, of course, stocking yourself up at a discount. And speaking of which, so again, this is elite. Iranian troops secretly enter UKR frontline to help Vlad's Horblitz, or this is what is being claimed. This means that their specialist Revolutionary Guard Corps have been sent to train soldiers in Moscow, teaching them how to operate so-called drones as battle rages in UKR, which is basically the exact accusation that is going on right now. So, Dex, is there, if they're saying this, are they trying to say that they violated this? And then are they next going to say that they are committing, crimes against humanity or war crimes, right?
Yeah, I'm sure they're trying to build a case. So this information, one, about them being there, and 2, about them potentially transferring them there. If they're there, they're bringing them. It definitely is something that the UN and or those that are allied with NATO and NATO allies are looking toward to get action on. So that's why I think, if anything, we'll hear about a new UN meeting, probably from the Security Council. That's who would do it. I'm sure there's, we know who's going to vote no, but we also knew who's going to vote yes, and we probably know what they would do, and they would probably do some sort of sanctions or something against the I country. I don't know, that's typically how the UN operates, but we'll see. I think this is right now just setting the case, right? Trying to build the case and put the information out in the public.
Do you see what also kind of happens here? So if this is not correct, if they just made this up, then this would really piss off the I country. If it is true, it also shows that all of these other countries are getting involved. This is becoming more of a world war than anything else. If you have all of these other countries coming in, you have all of these other countries participating, possibly doing the dirty work of or helping. It's like one side versus the other. You've got NATO versus... do they even have... I know that they have a couple smaller alliances, but some of those smaller alliances actually include the U.S. What do we... they used to call all the bad guys the axis of evil or whatever. Is there a name for pretty much everybody except for NATO? All of the enemies? Is there something that people have called them? If not, we should come up with one.
I think some people call it BRICS, but that's, what is it? Brazil, Vlad, India, Xi, and someone else.
Azkaban, Armenia. Actually, so let's come up. Any of the U.S. and NATO's enemies, what name should we call them on our show? And we can make it up just completely unique to us, and then you guys can explain it to new people as they come in. Whatever you guys decide in this show, we'll just call them from now on, and then it'll be fun. It will be fun for new people because they'll be like, what is he talking about? I'll go over to the chat. What do we call them? What do we call the enemies of NATO? Some sort of group. The Legion of Doom. Rip, what is going on, man? Nice to see you here tonight. The Legion of Doom. I don't know, man. That's actually pretty good. I know that, Justice League stuff, right? Commie turds. That's a good one. The French fries. The UN comedy show. The Doomers. The Doomers. I'm going to go, Doomers. Yeah. Toon Dooms. See, once Doom popped up, everybody's got Doom in their head, right? Call them the Unpleasants. That was very, very polite of you. And your name is Heavy Ordnance, and you are the most polite here. The Red Revolution. That's pretty good too. Both good ones from Rip. The Four Horsemen. What about like the 22 Horsemen or something? I don't know. The best one so far is probably the Legion of Doom. What was the other one? The Unpleasants? The Red Hammers. The Hammers and Sickles? Actually, the Losers. Yeah. I'm hoping. The Red Donathan. We Are Doomed. C-3PO. That was a perfect quote. Black Swan. Trinity. Good one. Nate-tememies. Nate-enemies. The Friendemies. The Friendemies Alliance of Amazingness. Amazingness. The Divergence, Band of Misfits, The Enemies, Evil Empire. You guys are getting better. Drone Squad, The Greys, The Chuckleheads, The Bears from the East, The Dirty 30. No, that's NATO, isn't it? The Dark Horses, Active Seeker, Controlled Opposition, Stormtroopers, Red Runs. That's pretty good. Vodka Breath. The Crimson Tide. I don't know. Population Reducers. Enemies of NATO. The Legion of Doom. Yeah, somebody already did that. I don't know. I honestly think that's pretty good. The Legion of Doom. Brickheads. Yeah, that would be insulting Lego. Hey, Rob, nice to see you. Spanky's Gang. We've got all sorts of great subjects. If you're watching the replay, I'm sorry. There's a lot of great ones here. I think I'm sorry. I think I'm going with the Legion of Doom. Devil's Advocates. The Legion of Doom is pretty good. The Red Menace. Okay, we'll use a couple. We'll interject them. The Red. What was that? The Red Rovers. The Legions of Doom. The Dragon, the Man Bear Dragon, the Dragon Bear Pig. That's a good one. The dragon bear pig. The tracksuit. Oh my gosh. Is my wife in here? We were just talking about it. We have seen a lot of people, and I don't know if they're actually because they are leaving that country and possibly seeking asylum or something, but we have seen a lot of folks from Vlad's country all of a sudden. And we were just talking about how it's a cultural thing. Like a lot of people from Vlad's country wear tracksuits. The tracksuits. Okay, we're doing it. I don't know. Is that? Yeah, I think that's okay. The Legion of Tracksuits. All right, I'm sticking with tracksuits and the Legion of Doom. All right, moving on. So obviously something is going on, and then Kremlin officials warn of guaranteed escalation to catastrophic World War III. It said Vlad has eerily warned the world that global carnage would ensue if Western allies of UKR continue to meddle in their conflict. It says that they say that WW3 would be sparked if the West continued to intervene, and if a nuclear conflict was to occur, it would be catastrophic for all mankind. Should NATO approve UKR's bid to join its organization, a top Kremlin official threatened global destruction. Also, I just want to point out, if anyone is truly at the level of, possibly mutually assured destruction type of thing, would you think that would be more likely if they knew something was going to happen in a few years that would do it anyways? Like everybody is trying to grab power beforehand, and everybody, maybe no one is bluffing. Maybe they're all like, well, we'll wipe you off and we'll be in our mountainside or whatever. I don't know. I think that also with Xi's new bunker-busting missiles and things, it's like even a place like NORAD that's under, however many feet or miles of dirt or mountain, now they say they can actually get in there and completely obliterate places like that. So think about that. If there's mountainous bases, now with Xi's new technology, they've tested it and it can go down that far and even basically decimate anything underneath. So I wonder if that's changing how they are, reinforcing these now new mountain bases. The Dark Lords, Jerry Myers, good one. What is the thing from Harry Potter? The Voldemorts. The NATO-morts. It says that they, of course, saying, and again, that's a pretty big quote, would be catastrophic for all mankind. It says, should NATO approve UKR's bid to join its organization, a top Kremlin official threatened global destruction. Dex, do you think they'll ever be approved? And didn't they get turned down or something? Like they did this fast track thing, and it's like we never get a kind of a true update.
I don't think you'll get Turkey to do it. I mean, to me, that seems like the one that's going to be the holdout. They were sort of the holdout on some of the others, too.
What if they kick Turkey out? Can they do that, or is that just as hard as getting somebody in?
I don't know if you want to do that either, but, that creates its own problem. But you instantly turn them against you, and they have, a lot of the equipment and stuff that has been sold to them because they are part of NATO.
So I'm sorry. Oh, okay. If people would just keep putting the names in there. I don't know why that got me so bad. Oh, there's a bunch of ones I won't repeat, but dog face pony soldiers. Yeah. Oh, man. I don't know if it will happen either, Dex, but I do know this. This is what the world is talking about. This is what MSM is pushing for, and I guess people are telling themselves right now, and most people do truly think that, it's nothing's going to happen, and they're thinking that it's all just a big show. I sure hope it is. I hope that is what is really going on. I hope it's all saber rattling and it's all for some other reason. But what's even scarier is if it is for some other reason, that's also not going to be good for any of us either. Go ahead.
Well, if history repeats itself, okay, and I'm even talking short history, like the last 6 months, they're going to get accepted in like right away. And I only say that because Vlad has put this, line in the sand that says, if you cross this line, then we're going to do that. And it seems like every time he said, if you do this, we're going to escalate something, we do it. It's like we always cross the line. Like, okay, well, we took out your battleship, right? Well, yeah, we helped. You weren't supposed to do that. That was crossing the line. You can't send in more equipment. If you do, you're crossing the line. Well, we sent in a ton of equipment, and we sent in so much cool equipment that it will cross the border and hit inside his homeland. And he didn't do anything about it. So I think when he makes a statement like this and says, if they are allowed into NATO, then there'll be, global destruction. To me, it sounds like, okay, there's yet another red line. And what does the West do? They say, we like to cross red lines, so let's go for it. So just a prediction, just an idea, just my own personal opinion based on all the nonsense that's happened throughout this entire thing since February has been, he lays out the red lines and we just roll right over them and he does nothing.
Somebody said that as you were saying that. Somebody had that in chat. They said they're going to say a red line and then they're going to cross it. Carol McLean, no, but we will be talking about the Turk stream stuff. Which, by the way, I don't know if that one loaded. It might be in the web only. Do you have the other attack on or possible event on the Turkey thing? It's the pipeline thing.
Yeah, let me look.
Okay. It should be 2 from here. All right, and then let's see. Yeah, guaranteed escalation. Well, we hope it's not. Another thing is, just to remind you, is most people here are kind of desensitized to this. You've been watching this every day. This is the stuff you choose to follow. If you don't choose to follow this stuff and this stuff makes you highly anxious or panicked, this may not be the show for you. If you don't like watching scary movies, don't watch them. Even if they do give you a rush, don't watch them. So, again, Kelly2334, nice to see you again. It's been a minute. Thank you so much for stopping in. Michelle K. Adam, I know you really, really don't like drones. Oh, I really, really don't like drones. Personally, I own a drone and I've done drone footage for years and stuff, and it's pretty messed up that there's no other competitor. There's a couple out there that are okay, but they're just so expensive they're unattainable. Other than the DJI, and I think that was on purpose. They did that. They put all those out there. Think about this. If DJI, the drones that everybody you see flying is most likely, by numbers, are flying a DJI. They have a proprietary system. When you are doing drone footage, what it's doing is it's sending a wireless signal to your phone, and then that app is a proprietary app, which is controlled by the company that is, of course, owned back in Xi's country. And that footage, so say if you're just I'm a hobbyist, but you happen to be within a mile or something of a base, then that footage now is going into some AI computer that's compiling it and putting a live picture of the United States and everything we have, secrets and all sorts of stuff. That was the big question with DJI, and that's why military even paused their orders and stuff. Why in the hell, in the first place, do the military not have their own manufacturing here for something that is like that? Can you imagine the military were using DJI drones with Xi proprietary software on them? Somebody said that they eventually did their own software and made it so they would, if they were ordering these DJI drones, that they would somehow be able to add their own software or something. But it's like, it's like after you see, I thought about the Dragon Day scenario before that, but then now it's like I can't stop thinking about how everything is made over there. And then you got our prez says everything's going to be made in America again. Yeah, no crap, especially if we go to conflict with somebody. And then Vladimir Putin mobilizes doomsday nuclear submarine to mainland Europe as Vlad desperately tries to take UKR. It says that Vlad recently ordered the mobilization of a doomsday nuclear submarine startling close to mainland Europe as Vlad ramps up their efforts to take UKR. The nuclear submarine, named the K-329 Belgorod and launched alongside a nuclear drone dubbed Poseidon, was deployed earlier this month on the aging Vlad's orders. I pointed this out every time they do this. They always put in some sort of adjective. They never just say on Vlad's orders. They have to say the desperate Vlad's orders, or the mad Vlad's orders, or the absolutely pathetic Vlad's orders. Now they're being ageist. The aging Vlad president. But do they do that when they're writing an article about, I don't know, our own president? Just saying. But while the apocalyptic nuclear weapon is still reportedly situated within Vlad's waters, the K-329 Belgorod is said to have last been traced in the Barents Sea, a territorial water dividing Vlad's country from Norway. Unique characteristics of the Poseidon system will help the Navy to successfully combat aircraft carriers and strike groups of potential adversary in any oceanic theater of war and destroy shore infrastructure facilities. What is really creepy about this, they're saying it's a 1,600 foot wave that it can produce. And as Dex, I think you were the one who said something like, well, imagine that out in the middle of the ocean. If you had carriers, would that flip these carriers? Would it just completely tip these things and flip them upside down? And it would send a tsunami that would wipe out any kind of coastal defenses and coastal ground troops. So wouldn't that make it an easier invasion? The thing is somebody like Vlad could win something like an invasion if they used these nasty weapons. But it's a question if they're that dirty to use something like this. Dex, it would be absolutely insane for them to use this. Could you ever see them doing something like this? What if it was out in the middle of the ocean?
I would think that something like this, man, I don't know, because it's like if you did something like this, you're going to get retaliated on. Probably with everything, like everything will be done. I think that's one of those, last ditch things. Now, if it was in the middle of an ocean, and it was done in a way, now, you don't really feel a tidal wave in the middle of the ocean because it sort of goes underneath you because it's got to actually build up as it gets closer to shore. But I don't know if the tech they have has a way of, making such a percussion that it does make a giant wave right in the middle of the ocean and they could hit a carrier group or something like that. That's probably the only scenario I would see where this type of tech would be used and not be sort of the global, we're all going in, To me, this is one of those all-in weapons, and it's a scary weapon to think about, but I can't see a scenario in my mind where you put a 1,600-foot wave into any coast and not expect to have just complete dumping right back on top of you.
A world-ending response. As far as, and this is just a thought, science, looking at kind of the physics of it, what if they could do it? It produces a 1,600-foot wave, or it makes a blast that goes off. It takes out the ships, and then they put other explosives all around it in kind of a perimeter, and those explode to reduce the wave or something. I wonder, here's the crazy part, is one of our strongest military assets are these boats. But these boats are floating on water. If you control that water, if you do something to that water, you could flip them like toys. A 1,600-foot wave is as high as, I want to say, as high as or close to the highest skyscraper's height, right? 1,600 feet. What was the towers, the two towers that went down in New York? Weren't those like 1,100 feet or something? Or weren't those over 1,000 feet? So I mean, the Burj Khalifa or whatever, not Burj Khalifa, Wiz Khalifa. Wiz Khalifa's tall, but he's not that tall. The brain pause. You get my meaning. I don't know.
The twins were 1,700.
Okay, so it's as tall
Oh,
as
actually, one was almost 1,800.
Wow, that is incredible. So think about that. It's a wave as tall as the towers. That's insane. Imagine the very high. I wasn't lucky enough to experience those towers. But if anyone has been in there, I don't even think you could go to the absolute top. You could go to observation towers, way up there. I think the tallest one here, I thought, was like the Columbia building. But the, what do you call it? The stratosphere is 900 feet. The Space Needle is 600 feet. That's like the Space Needle was put on top of the stratosphere. That's looking up as far as you can look up. I mean, that's crazy. Did not realize they were that tall. Go ahead.
Hey, Adam, do you have the article about you may be doing it next. I don't know. What Vlad is doing with the boomers 20 miles from NATO border?
Yes, in fact.
Okay, I have something that I want you to pull up with it after it. Sorry, it's sort of last minute, but it's in Screener. Okay.
All right,
let's see. It's something we've covered, but it's a different spin, and I think there's an interesting conversation here.
Oh, whoa. Okay, so let's just retouch on this. This is what we talked about in the very beginning. Putin deploys 11 nuclear bombers just 20 miles from NATO's borders as warns of apocalyptic World War III. And now, fast forward, we've talked about that. You were updated on the whole, guaranteed escalation thing. Now check this out. So, turns out drills are going on. It says NATO to kick off nuclear drills involving B-52 bombers on Monday. So we knew that both were doing nuclear-related drills. Now we have 20 bombers here and numerous bombers there. And wait a second. Dex, do you remember our Foogle fam video that somebody sent us?
So these are coming from multiple countries, right? They're coming from Britain, they're coming from the North Sea, they're coming from Belgium, and they're coming from Minot. So there's a couple of things about this. One, the public statement is, it's drills, so they're not loaded. Okay. But at this moment in time, we're going to have 60 of our most important boomers, if we needed to have some sort of retaliation or even a first strike, running around with no heat in them, so to speak, right? They'll have no nukes in them. Or this is that, and they think that this is when it's going to happen. So, but why, we're flying this exercise from Minot all the way over there. We're flying out of Britain. We're flying out of Belgium. We're flying out of the North Sea with these planes to do this big drill. Now, we've been talking about this drill all week because we didn't have a lot of details. We just said it was a deterrence drill, but now we've got the details. Now they're saying they're flying these B-52s, and they're flying a lot of them, 60.
60? Okay, so, and just to remind you, a Foogle fam member from, what was it, Wiltshire? It was, does anybody remember that UK city, what was it? Was it in the UK? They spotted 4 above them just a few days ago. It was like a week. It was before, actually. I want to say it was before we even had news of these drills, and we said, "Whoa, that's weird." And we talked about how I would be weirded out if B-52s were above me, even though I have military bases relatively close. It's always a sight, but it was even more of a sight because he was in an area that it was U.S. and they were over there, right? What was that? Dex, I'm trying to think of that. Who was the Foogle fam that sent us the videos? He sent us videos of these B-52s flying over there. And, of course, nobody really knew. Wilchestershire? No. I feel like that's not it. But it was something with the Shire. Let's see here. And I know Dex is actively... He's Wiltshire. That's right. I think that is
Wiltshire. That's right. You were close. I knew it was that. And yes, I don't have the gentleman's name But yeah, that's the video that we sent. It was in our show. He didn't send it on YouTube, so we couldn't host it on our page, but it was in the show. I just want to clarify, though. I don't want people to think I misspoke. I said 60 aircraft. That's what they're reporting is 60 aircraft, but B-52s are included, and they're included from all those locations. So it doesn't necessarily mean 60 B-52s, but here's the other important thing. This is not just a one-day thing. It's not even a 3-day thing. It's going to go on for 2 weeks. So for 2 weeks, they're going to be flying these B-52s up and down all around that area right now for calling it an exercise. And this is the same time that, Vlad has just now put 20 miles away. He loaded up his bombers and they're sitting there ready to go. We just showed you a picture of it in the previous article. You can see on the map where they are. And he said he's doing similar drills. So if you've got two adversaries that are both saying things are going to get hot, we're got Armageddon coming from one person's mouth, and I'm going to have global destruction from the other person's mouth, and we're both taking our hot nuclear, aircrafts, and we're putting them in the sky for 2 weeks, right in the middle of October, between now and October 30th. I don't know, folks. Just be alert.
Someone says DEFCON 3 or DEFCON 2. We don't know what they're actually at. And, obviously the DEFCON thing on Twitter, that's a group that kind of looks at it and tries to use whatever information they get to judge. But I wonder if things are... I think all of us are questioning, is it as bad as they say it is? And if it is, what are we going to do about it? We need to just be positive and pray. I know that a lot of people are freaked out about this, but it's almost better to be desensitized to it and to not be afraid and to be prepared the best you can be. And if something happens and it's instant, then, According to the Oogs, we're at DEFCON 3. Let's see here. Lisa R. Hall, what's going on? Rob Max, Rachel Lee. How far inland would that go? I think you're referencing the 1,600-foot wave. We don't know.
100 miles is what they estimate.
Wow. That's all of our that's all of our coastal defenses, too. I think the farthest ones were 85 miles or something, according to an article by the BBC. Okay, and then, so now we have more details we have updated. Thank you. Over on DLive, everybody, thank you guys. Thank you, everybody that's supporting over there. I really appreciate you guys. Michelle K., you with a drone, China with a drone. Ag. There's no official spelling for what is it? Ag. And is og? It has G's in it. Is it or is it og? Because I don't think you ever see it say og. Just saying. It's a question. We got to ask the questions. Got to ask the tough questions here. If you haven't already, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Again, you can get actual devices that can protect your car, keep it running after all 3 phases of an EMP, and it can also protect you against a Carrington-level event. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP for a device that can easily be wired into your car or truck to keep it running to get that 5 miles home or 10 miles home. If you are working away from home, I'd highly recommend it because then you won't be stuck somewhere. Or if you do plan on bugging out, then this is an easy fix and it will make sure that your vehicle will run. You can also get versions for your home. You can get them for your boats, your RVs, your motorcycles, and everything else. That's marfooglenews.com/EMP. It can also protect you against CMEs as well, so keep that in mind. And it can protect your home against lightning and any other device that it's plugged into. So very, 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 very good product. It is actually how agencies like DHS and DOD, they are utilizing specifically EMP Shield. So just keep in mind, those agencies, they will protect their own infrastructure, and maybe in 50 years they'll protect the grid, but right now it's really not. And then biohacking humans, people implanting chips in hands and heads. Well, if this isn't biblical, then I don't know what is. It's a technological advancement that seemed incomprehensible a generation ago and now appears to be inevitable. From a microchip implanted subdermally to a robot learning to imagine itself and its own purpose, and tiny microprocessor implanted directly in the brain. Which, mind you, Neuralink is exactly this, right? It says our lives are going to be intertwined with robots and AI increasingly in complex ways we can't even imagine today, said Columbia University engineering and data science professor Hod Lipson. He describes it as inevitable fusing of the physical and digital worlds. In his robotics lab in Manhattan campus, groundbreaking projects are underway. We want robots to understand what they are, how they move, how they operate, he said. It's sophisticated machine learning, allowing the robot to literally wake up and discovering itself. With that knowledge, it can imagine itself in the future, he said. It says it's an extension of human thought, allowing mankind to machine to exist more efficiently. Robotics used to be something that, like, okay, maybe you had a vacuum cleaning robot. You step over it, you move on. But now it's going to be everywhere, Lipson said. There's drones. You're going to trust your life to a self-driving car. You're going to trust your life of your children to a robot. I mean, this was unthinkable just a few years ago, and it's inevitable. If it's a nuanced concepts of man's evolution with machines, what Brandon Delaley is doing much more is direct. It says people have called me cyborg and everything, which I think is pretty funny. And I mean, I guess they could be accurate. The 41-year-old said, I mean, technically both my hands can communicate with different types of computers. It says he decided to become a part machine by having chips implanted inside both hands. He can now start his Tesla, open his home door, and in the future even replace his wallet with the swipe of his hand. I wanted to be able to leave my house with no house key, no car key, no wallet, and still be able to carry out my everyday activities like I normally would. Biohacking your own body opens up endless possibilities. We're at the dawn of this. It's slowly working its way up. And you know what's sad is he's absolutely right. Think about how when you used to use Apple Pay or Tap to Pay, it would almost always give you like problems. If you used it more than twice at two different places, it would like, flag your bank account. This was a thing. They were really weird about the whole Tap to Pay thing. Now you can do Tap to Pay everything. I have talked to others. I talked to somebody else that lost their card. I lost my own. Used Tap to Pay on the phone for like 3 weeks and never needed a card. It never once did it. And that's because they want you to tap. They want you to use this wireless payment system. They want you to use NFC. Well, guess what? Then you get it implanted. You get that little square chip that's in your card. That's this big of a card. You get that chip planted indermally or even smaller. Then you just swipe your hand over the pay scale. Can you imagine going to the grocery store and instead of they tell you the total and they have the people, well, I guess I shouldn't use that as an example because now grocery stores you're just going to walk out with the products and then most likely you'll have a chip. And I know I'm not saying you will because most people will fight this. They'll have a chip in their hand and they'll grab a product and then that chip will communicate what they grabbed and what they walked out with. If it's 50 products, that chip will interact with your chip and say, you've just been billed $355 for 2 boxes of Zatamorans. Because, it's the future and everything's $154. This is happening. And if the mass majority of people don't push back on it, which this generation, look at the next generation, look at the young kids that aren't watching my show because they're too busy on TikTok getting, zoned out and being trained. They're all going to do this. And then you won't be able to do anything without. Especially when we have the Everything app, the WeChat of America, and everything else. Go ahead, Dex.
It's a shame because there's actually decent use cases for RFI or near field communication and RFIDs and things like that. And don't kid yourself. I bet just about every single person listening to this show, if you own a car, have a device in your pocket. If it's not a clicker, even if you say I have an old car from 2000, in 2 or 2005, well, it has an NFC built into the key. So when you put the key in, the key reader will know that the key is legit and it's a digital key, and it'll allow it to turn, not just because of the way it's the slots are grooved in it. It has to also communicate. So we've been using this technology for decades ourselves. Like we have it integrated in a lot of things, but it's just as it gets into this next layer of how do we take it to that next level, and they want to start putting it in our skin or putting it in our bodies, it creates this very challenging adoption, I think, for a lot of people. And then there's a lot of people like this guy we're reading about that's like, embracing it and saying, give it to me. The downside, though, in my opinion, is that there is a lot of great functionality, like the fumbling of, a whole key of keychains on your key ring, trying to figure out the right one to go in the door to get in your house when it's pouring down rain is a pain in the butt. And if your door would just know you were standing there and it opened for you, that would be convenient, right? But what do you have to give up for that convenience? And where do you draw the line?
You have to give up too much. And that's why we say all of your evil kind of things that you see coming are going to come out of convenience. Like the facial recognition on these cameras, the Ring cameras and everything else, people don't even have to answer their door anymore. Why? Well, because they have a doorbell cam. So they can just go to their phone and go, oh, it's just the mailman. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's one of these door-to-door knocking salespeople. They don't answer their door. They just go to their Ring camera and they go, hello, what do you need? Yeah. No, thanks. Thanks anyways. Out of convenience. But then when an update happens with, doesn't even need your permission because you initially signed it, it says, all future updates will just happen automatically. Then it'll update with facial recognition. So when you have your Christmas party and your, 21-year-old daughter comes home with her boyfriend, all of a sudden, 20 minutes later, the police are there. Why are police at my house? Oh, well, because your daughter's new boyfriend has a warrant out for his arrest, and your Ring camera facial recognized him. And then go a step further, once these stentrodes are put into people's brains, they'll be able to do it without even picking up an object to do this. You'll be able to control devices with your brain with thought. And this is something of sci-fi movies, but it's happening right now. And nobody is fighting it. People are asking for it. People are begging for it. I personally would rather have a key dangling off of everything I own than have a chip implanted in myself. I don't see it. I don't want it. I'd rather have the inconvenience. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Stephen McMahon, thank you. I appreciate your support. The Other Team, Curious99, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Thank you for the super sticker. Let's see here. Stephen McMahon, European history is full of this. End of war. By giving up territory, couple of generations, you get back. Stephen McMahon, history repeating itself. Thank you, Adam Dex and the best mods on YouTube, and to the Foogle fam. Stay safe. Love your way. Kenny Crowder, thank you so much. And just a reminder, if you guys have not checked it out on the main channel, Marfoogle News, if you haven't subscribed, then make sure to get over there now. Dex did a great narration and a great video, so make sure to go check that out. Also, make sure to subscribe to that other channel. We're going to be putting out a lot more content. A lot of great stuff is going to be coming out, so please get over there and subscribe. That video is talking about Xi and the food and everything else, hoarding. It's a great, great piece. Lots of work went into that, so please go over and check it out. All right, and then Dex, do you want to talk about the Ebola?
Yeah, so one of these things that we sort of are not paying attention to because everybody's got their eyes on, the big events that are happening either on either side of the globe. And so this one, we've got actually 48 cases that are now confirmed as of a few days ago. Unfortunately, about 17 people have perished, and they're actually screening flights into the U.S. from Uganda, and they're working hard to control this. They claim that they're going to be able to control it, and it's not going to get any further. And I got to give them some credit. We've heard about these outbreaks there many times before, and we've heard that they've gone from a small village into the main city, and then it gets near where, people are traveling and stuff like that, and you start to worry, does it spread? And they've, have in the past, when this has happened, done a decent job of keeping it from spreading out. So obviously it's not something you want in your neighborhood, not something you want at your front door on your Ring doorbell. Not something anybody really wants to get. It's kind of nasty. But this is just the update. We haven't heard much about this particular illness, and it's back in the news, and it's starting to pick up some steam.
So we'll follow it. Somehow they always contain these, but they couldn't contain the one where we had they didn't contain that thing that destroyed our entire economy. It's almost like they didn't want to. All right. Well, again, lots of great people showed up tonight. Thank you for over 4,000 making it to chat. I appreciate you guys. We're going to go over some web-only stuff. This is the overflow. Make sure to get over there. And, of course, lots of great stuff that could not fit into today's show. All of the stuff with T-Man and other stuff. So, Dex, do you want to go over that?
Wow, yeah. Go to marfoogle.news.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, open up the description on YouTube, click on the show notes link, or if you're on Rumble, there's also a show notes link right there on the page. It'll take you right here. This is the rest of the story, so don't go anywhere. I'm going to give you the headlines. There's a lot going on. With the latest updates going on with T-Man and the events that had happened and the committees that are still going, there's a lot. There's new updates from people that are close to him. There's new updates from Secret Service. Moving beyond just him and into the rest of the spectrum, there was a big debate that was happening tonight here in Georgia between a senator and one that's a famous football player who's running against him to unseat him. That was I actually got to hear some of that earlier while I was working. And it was pretty good. So if you're interested, you can go find that and find out other information related to the political spectrum. So a lot of that stuff's there. Look, there's other stuff happening. Some stuff going on with the teachers in Florida, specifically with what the governor is doing there. If you're looking for blunders, apparently our administration likes to have lots of them. So somebody put together a list of his blunders. And then there's a decent article about Xi and the end game and what he is prepared to do, as well as an update on the protests that we talked about last night. Those protests that are happening over there, that's a rare sight. I think back to like Tiananmen and other things where it's just, you don't see a lot of protests there. We saw some crazy ones in Hong Kong, but not now, not once you're under control of Xi and their rule. That's not something you normally see. So some interesting updates from that, as well as what's going on with UK's financial system and Truss, because she's sort of in hot water, at least in her new role. So that and so much more, guys. If you don't head over there, you're missing the rest of the story. So marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for today's show, open up that description on YouTube or on Rumble. It's right there. Click show notes. It'll take you right here. Every one of our live shows, we have this.
And, of course, if you are someone who has an extra vehicle just laying around and it's not going to good use, it's sitting and gaining dust, or it runs, but you really have no use for it, and you've thought about possibly giving it away, then I highly recommend going over to carsforheroes.org. You can actually make that car run a few more miles. In fact, you can give transportation to a vet or a hero. They also give cars to police officers, firefighters, and other heroes like EMTs. Carsforheroes.org, you can go check them out. We, the Foogle fam, have actually now helped with, I believe, at least 15 cars going out, and those cars are going to do a service to other veterans out there. And we helped raise $2,000 towards, at least $2,000 towards the raffle tickets, which out of the 200 and something tickets that were sold, Fall Geeky was actually the winner. One of our Foogle family members won the custom 1966 custom C10. So we're still waiting on updates on that. I believe there was it had to be transported or whatever, but we will try to update you on that as well. So FG won that truck, which is pretty amazing. They do things like this all the time, so make sure to keep up to date with that. You can go over and support them. You can support them monetarily, or you can, again, get rid of that car that you don't need, and it's a tax write-off. You can get yourself a tax credit for that. So go over to carsforheroes.org. Thank you, guys, and then I'll be seeing you mods right after the show. I'll be doing a shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro. Thank you, Dex. Love ya.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Get over to Marfoogle News and watch that video. Dex did a great job. Thank you, everybody. So many great people here. All right, let's make a new one. By the way, the show will continue over on Marfoogle Jams. It never stops over on D Live. Remember that.
do it down, now, not one. Here, sent from the John Purdy, Minnesota. Much better, you can hop on the border if you want to. On to, smashing the toilet, twerker on the burqa, bring it on the back run, wearing a burqa.
Thank you, everybody that supported today's show. Special shout out, Kenny Crowder. Thank you so much. Redeemed. I know you're bouncing out, but I'm going to make you a song. Redeemed. Redeemed. Ow. Ow, 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 ow. Down, down, down. Ow. 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 Ow.